Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth, celebrating our 83rd week. Sweeney, clear the floor. Katie, bar that door. Molly, put on another pot of Irish coffee. It's time we get this show on the road. We've got another full house today, not a chair to spare. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host. Reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com, and you can do all kinds of things there. You can check out our videos, you can check out our blog, which has a little extra information on today's shows on it, and you can also just click some of the links to find out the places I'm talking about. You don't have to type it all in and worry about spelling it correctly, and you just click that link and it should go. That's assuming, of course, that I typed the link correctly before you clicked it, so I'll have to double check all those to make sure I don't get myself in trouble here. And it's all another free service from the Irish Roots Cafe. And remember, you can phone me directly and leave a message on my line at 816-256-3360 and leave your comments. You can also leave your family search. I might put it on a podcast and get it out there to 50,000 people. And you can also leave your song and recitation. We'll put it up on the song and recitation show. And of course, if you got a story about the Irish in America in your area of the country, let me know. We might put it on our new season for the Irish in America too. This is the Irish Families podcast at the Irish Roots Cafe, and this is the third of the really the trio of podcasts that we put out. I hope you enjoy them. Try them, you'll like them. Among today's topics, the next U.S. Vice President will have Irish roots too. Searching for Dunne, Fottrell, and Walsh. A giant mushroom found in Sligo. County Wicklow Genealogy Book of the Month. Howard is the family name of the week. A webpage, Wicklow Family History Center. And I wonder what the most popular Irish baby names are according to recent reports. We'll have all that and more when we come back. Right now, I just remind you that, once again, it let you know that you can get all three of my broadcasts online for free. Just go to the webpage, and it's all there for you. Don't miss out on that. And I'd also like to remind you to join up and become a member if you enjoy any of this and you want it to keep on going and moving on down the road here. We sure enjoy it, but we need your help to keep going. Well, let's move on to our notes for the week. Hey, here's a good website. Looks like it's irishmariners.ie. That wouldn't be a baseball team or a football team. That would be a website that has the index of Irish-born merchant seamen who were contained in a series of index cards in the Southampton Civic Archives. And those archives hold about 270,000 cars. And it's the workforce of the British Merchant Marine during the period from late 1918 to the end of 1921. Okay, and that'll be a good place to go to. I'll have the link on the blog. You can just click it if you're looking for somebody in that era. Number two, well, I've told you about McCain and Obama and their Irish roots, and we can't forget the number two spots there with both those fellas. Joe Biden is on the Irish Heritage list, of course. He had a great-grandmother by the name of Finnegan from County Mayo. And the Biden name itself seems to be of Huguenot origins, found in Liverpool in 1668. I've talked more about Huguenots here in the last few episodes than I think I ever have. That's interesting how things seem to come together at certain times. And, of course, Sarah Palin, John McCain's vice president nominee, she has Irish roots. The Palin family on her mother's side was the Sheeran family, and they came to the U.S. in the 1840s in the person of Michael Sheeran. And there's also a Burke family connection there. Very interesting. It just keeps on coming, doesn't it? Okay, now number 4. We've got a note from Ken Houghton, who may be able to help with Wicklow Roots. His webpage is Wicklow Roots, and he says, trace your county Wicklow roots. Research places of local interest historically linked to information on interesting historical Wicklow personalities and more, of course. And that'll be at irishtimes.com. I'll have a link to that on the webpage. We might even interview old Ken later. Number 5, our friends at Family Tree DNA dropped us a note and let us know they're doing okay. All the normal, just the standard DNA tests are being processed just fine. There was a problem with the hurricane at one of their offices, so some of their administrative might be slowed down some, but everything's going along just fine, and I'm sure by this week they're up and moving pretty well or relocated. That does it for the notes this week. I think we'll move on now to the book of the month. Well, this month we're going to have County Wicklow Ireland Genealogy and Family History Notes be the book of the month. Here's a sample extract from the book. We're going to put it down here. This is on the County Wicklow families on the map of the Four Masters, and that would be the big folding map in the back of the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, the Connellan translation that I reprinted back in 2003. And you might be curious, way back then, who did they say were the older families of County Wicklow in that day? Well, the names on the map are Archbold, Butler, Cheevers, Fitzeustace, Fitzgerald, Fitzwilliam. A lot of Fitzes there. Furlong, Hughes, O'Byrne, McMurrough, Cullen, O'Dowling, Doyle, Gahan, Horan, Kelly, Tye or Teague, and O'Toole. O'Toole, of course, was an Irish prince, and that's denoted by the little P after the name, meaning prince, and L after the name meant lord. But that's an example of the names that had on that map, and that sure is an interesting good old map. Let's move on to what now? Let me see. Coming up later in this episode, we're going to talk about what was the single most popular name for boys and girls in Ireland last year or this year. That's coming up later. But now it's time to turn our eyes skyward and give thanks and ask for help. Here are today's magnificent 7 researchers. Number 1. New member, Joanna Howard of Darnestown, Maryland. Looking for Howard Fitzsimmons Dunne Fottrell of Baldoyle, Ireland. Number 2, new member, Cheryl Hoxie of Exeter, New Hampshire. Grandfather James Joseph Walsh, born September 8, 1882 in County Kilkenny, maybe even in Skibbereen. I think there's a little song about Skibbereen too that you probably want to look up. And she got the parents down there as being Patrick and Honora Fogarty Walsh. And there were siblings. I'll have the full list of that family tree on the blog if you're interested in it. And number 3, Mrs. Greet of Berkshire in the UK. Your County Meath, Ireland genealogy book has shipped. Ian Carswell of New South Wales, Australia. Your History of the Families of Clanarorry in Ireland has shipped. Christopher Curley of Meath, Ireland. Your book, Birth Index, has shipped. And Arthur Harvey of Owen Sound, Canada. Your Irish Chiefs and Leaders book has shipped. That's the first book in that set called The Conquest of Ireland. And it talks about how the plans were made by the English to settle Ireland and take it over, really, get the lands and turn everything on its head there. So it's interesting to look at the background and some of the paperwork and just how they put the whole plan together. Number 7, Mary Connaughton of Newton, Massachusetts. Your County Roscommon genealogy book has shipped. And let me see, got a note from Wayne Wright, member. He's giving me some more information. And he's looking for Butler, specifically those connected to Ellen Butler of County Kerry, born 1846 in Listowel, daughter of William Butler and Mary Walsh. So if anybody has similar connections, I'll put you together with old Wayne, and maybe you'll be able to find some family in common and discover some new things. Boy, that reminds me one more time, thank you to each of our members. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do any of this. Now it's time we move on to the Irish family name of the day. And the name for the day is Howard. Today's family history is in honor of member Joanna Howard of Darnestown, Maryland. And you can see what she was searching for up above here on the list I just mentioned. And related spelling of the name, well, not just Howard, but Hogart and O'Her, H-U-R-E, and O'Howard spelled something like O-H-A-W-R-D-E. Things like that you got to look for in all Irish names. You can sort of tell it if you pronounce it, but by reading it, you say, well, nah, there's no relation. And that's taken from the Master Guide to the Variant Spellings of Irish Family Names, Variant Spelling Group number 922. Now let's take a look at the history of the name. What do we have? The book of the history of the Milesian families in Ireland found that the name was in Cork, Kerry, and Limerick. It came in from 1172 in England. The 1659 census shows the name in Tipperary, Cork, and Dublin. And in more recent times, the birth index shows the name in Dublin and Cork. So, boy, Cork is on all three of those, so that tells you something. And let me see. In addition to the English origins, the old Irish family name of O'Himar, I don't know how to pronounce that, but O-H-I-O-M-H-A-R is what it looks like here, in County Clare has been changed into Howard, which is also O'Her in Clare, and they're found along with the O'Days, and they were located near Mount Callan, and they were a family of some note in the early 14th century. Now, according to Patrick Wolfe, Reverend Patrick Wolfe, who wrote Irish Names and Surnames, the names of Hogart and Howard were synonyms in certain places, and you can also find the name in Keating's History of Ireland, and they're cited as a chief English family of County Wicklow at that time, which doesn't mean there weren't some Irish families of the name there either. You'd have to research it to be sure. And all that comes from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small. That was, I think that was the first big book I ever wrote. And it's still going strong today. We've added a new index to all 36 volumes, and it's amazing. It's just an amazing thing. Well, let me see. Let's take a look at coats of arms. Everybody's interested in a coat of arms, and even though it may not be specifically yours, the Irish sort of claim the right for the whole clan to own the arms. Of course, if you were an Irish Howard, you wouldn't want to wear the arms of the English Howards, I wouldn't think. But then again, maybe you would. But as long as you know what you're doing, you're okay. Now, here's some of the information given in the Irish Book of Arms connected to the family name. We have two listings. One was Alice Howard, who was a Countess of Wicklow in 1793, and there was a motto on that crest too. And the second illustration gives Robert Howard, a Viscount Wicklow, who died in 1740, and there was a lion on that crest, not on the coat of arms itself, but the crest above. That crest is what's above the coat of arms, and then the arms is that shield below it. Let's take one last look at the name to give you a little help or to give people an idea of where to look when they're looking for their names. We took a look at the Freemaster Index at IrishRoots.com, and we found the family listed about 50 times. And it included these examples. This is just samples because I couldn't read all 50. Here we find Howard House is found listed in Pinner's Survey of Ireland. That's part of the Conquest of Ireland series of books I talked about earlier. And here we also find a C. Howard in the Fall of Irish Chiefs and Clans, which is another part of that series. And then we find M. and R. Howard found in Irish Families on the California Trail. And there's several listing for the name in our genealogy books, the spiral-bound ones. You can find it in Kildare and Wicklow and Carlow and more. Now, Catherine Howard is found in County Fermanagh and Louth genealogy books that we offer on our webpage. And there's a G. Howard in County Tipperary genealogy and family history notes. And that brings us up to the last one we're going to have, and that's an H. Howard in County Galway genealogy and family history notes. Now, those listings can be just an individual, say, on a census, or it could be taken from something else, maybe one of O'Hart's works. It just depends. But they're in there, so that's good to know. Well, what are we going to do now? We're going to move on to the websites of the week. Well, today's website, number one, is going to be the Wicklow Family History Center, since Wicklow's sort of our theme for the day. And we're also going to have an email address on how to contact them. And their webpage says that it's Catherine Wright, who's the manager. Of course, that changes sometimes, so you might have to double check or write to somebody else, but you just write to manager. And it's the Wicklow Family History Center, and they say it's at Kilmanton Hill in Wicklow Town, County Wicklow, Ireland. And they say that it's a site for a genealogy research service established in 1987 by Wicklow County Council. And they've got the Roman Catholic and Church of Ireland parish records right on their hands, so they can give those off to you real quick. And church records of Methodist and Presbyterian circuits within the county have also been computerized, so it's getting down to fine tuning here now, folks. And it says that their church records for the county of Wicklow date from the 17th century and stop at 1900. And usually there's not too many in the 17th century, but boy, those that exist are really valuable for research. Okay, that does it for that one. Let me see. Our second website of the week is a video interview with Fergal O'Donnell of the Irish Family History Foundation. And you can click on that link in my blog, and Fergal talks about some interesting things and what they're up to, and the 14 or 40 million records going online just bit by bit here, finishing up. Real interesting interview. I think Dick Eastman conducted that interview. So that's what's happening on the web this week here at the Irish Roots Cafe. I'm thinking it's time to move on to Curious News and Notes. Well, it seems that King Abdullah II of Jordan just took a motorcycle tour of Ireland, and he was riding a Harley Davidson. Now, wouldn't that be a sight to behold? And hotel manager Carl O'Shaughnessy of New Ross welcomed the entourage for lunch before they set off for Tramore, County Waterford, and then on to County Cork. No telling who you might meet on the Irish roads these days. Wouldn't that be a fine thing to be walking across Ireland and meet with the King Abdullah? A fine thing that'd be. Number two, despite being what they say is a spare year for mushrooms in Ireland, Patrick Waters of Scarden in Sligo set off on the hunt anyway. He found a 4-pound mushroom which measured about 34 inches across, growing right next to a manure heap. And Mr. Waters declined the honor of eating the large delicacy, however, because he thought it might be a bit risky. Number three, hey, I think we better check our canned mushrooms now. Number three, Laura Doyle has been crowned Miss Oyster Pearl for 2008 at the International Oyster Festival in Galway, and that runs from September 25 to September 28. And let me see, number four, Irishman Liam Neeson was born in Ballymena, and he's been picked to play Abraham Lincoln in an upcoming film by Spielberg. Very interesting selection there. Now, number five, the winners of the most popular Irish baby names in Ireland appear to be Jack for boys and Sarah for girls. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the day. It's been fun. We're just rolling right through these, and remember also that we've got our enhanced podcast that gives you some links you can click on and some pictures with this podcast, not just the audio if you're interested. You can link up to that on our webpage under Enhanced Podcast. And it should be coming up. You should be able to subscribe on iTunes here real quick, too. It hadn't come online yet. They have to go through and approve thousands of these things, I guess. And we're just in line waiting to jump up and to make it happen. Well, I guess that does it. So I'd just like to remind you you can leave your comments by clicking on the contact link on our webpage at irishroots.com. Or you can send them to my American address at the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri 64116, and leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360, and you can Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. Members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.